Welcome everybody back to Boost Motion, guys. And today we want to talk about fuel cuts. Yes, guys, fuel cuts on them hard launches and them high amount of fuel demand situation that you run into. Now, let's just jump right into the video. I know my Boost Motion family has already hit the like button. Thank you guys for your support, because this video idea actually came from Go Racebox himself, and there was some controversy going on in the last 2 months with Go Racebox and another fellow company. I've chose not to speak on it because it's not my place, so I choose to stay out of it. I know you guys will comment below if you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, the reason why I think I wanted to make this video is because some of you guys actually do go through fuel cuts and you don't really know what's going on. So I thought it would be actually pretty much perfect for us to talk about it in this video. So quickly, let me just get to some of the reading, and I'm going to give you guys my own commentary on honestly what I think this really is. So let's get into their terminology. So Go Racebox, we wanted to talk about the importance and dangers of a fuel cut. The VR30 is prone to fuel cuts at low fuel levels, primarily due to poor basket design that uses fuel faster than it can fill up. This is actually truthful. So pretty much the way that the fuel basket or the fuel pump is designed, it's supposed to allow the fuel to actually go into like a little bucket, and then it sucks that up. But when it's low fuel and you launch the car, right? Usually that sloshes the fuel to the back of the fuel tank. Also on top of that, if you're like under that one third or 1/4, then the fuel pump is sucking in a lot of fuel, but there's not enough fuel it's sitting in for it to actually suck enough fuel to keep the fuel pressure up. This is when you run into certain codes on your car that says, let's say, low fuel pressure in rail, or you may run into some issues like what they're talking about here. Firstly, let's go over the attached log. You can see fuel pressure suddenly drop from 20 MPa to around 3 MPa while maintaining full throttle. So this could be on hard launch, or this could actually be in a data log gear. You might be in third or fourth gear, or you might be doing a 40 to 140 run, right? And this type of drop is directly low pressure fuel pump related. Additionally, you can see AFR quickly jump up to around 17 AFR, or air fuel ratio. Now, if you guys want to quickly understand this map, let me just quickly explain to you guys what you guys are looking at, because I know sometimes not everyone gets it, and even at some point I didn't understand it either. Shout out to JB4, because I learned a lot from messing with the JB4. So pretty much the green line is the air fuel ratio that the tuner is targeting. That's 11.44, right? That's more on the rich side, but it's good because it brings down combustion chamber temperatures and exhaust change temperatures, and they see pretty much the best amount of performance from right around that ratio, right? Cool. Then they also have the pink line, which is pink/red, which is fuel pressure race ROM. That's pretty much monitoring the certain amount of pressure that's in the line itself, right? The fuel pressure. Then you have AFR, bank 1 and 2. That means one side of the engine and another side of the engine, and where the air fuel ratio is pretty much actually what it's actually showing, right? So what they're realizing is it's never going to be straight, guys. The air fuel ratio is never going to be straight. It's always going to go up and down, right? Nothing crazy like up and down, but it's going to be like, it's never going to be a perfect line, right? So what they're saying is at this higher RPM, right, you can see this huge dip in fuel pressure all the way down to 5.8 when you go to the higher RPM. But here's what you also look and see. The air fuel ratio starts to go up. The reason why the air fuel ratio is going up, think about it. If you're shoving a boost or air into a motor, and you're giving it the 4.4 the certain amount of parts of air to fuel ratio, and you're igniting it, then you get the perfect 14 point, was it 1 or 4.47? I forgot the biometric measure, but you'll get the perfect AFR. But because they're targeting 11.4, there's a certain amount of air to fuel. Now, once you bring fuel pressure down, that means that the spray pattern is a lot less. A lot less fuel actually gets shot into the engine itself, which then thus makes it leaner, because now you have all this air and less fuel. Guess what? You go very leaner. And when you go lean, you have pre-ignition. You have things go boom. Like, things get bad, and plenty of engines. This is not only exclusively to Infinities. So they wanted to state that this is what's dangerous. Before I get into upgrades to help mitigate this fuel cuts, the best way to prevent it with a stock or drop-in pump set up to avoid going into wide open throttle when you have under. Well, bear with me, guys. Let me say it again because I'm actually not saying it good enough. Before I get into upgrades to help mitigate the fuel cuts, the best way to prevent it with a stock or drop-in pump setup is to avoid going wide open throttle when you have under a quarter tank of fuel. When I was used to go to the track or even did any hard launches, honestly, I never really ran into a fuel cut issue. Maybe one time I remember running into it, but after that, I've always kept my car about a third of a tank or above. If I did run it low, I'm just not launching the car that hard. You should only do quarter-mile pulls and a half a tank or more. There are many types of fuel cuts. A sharp drop to a very low pressure will cut very aggressively, and the car will lose all power like you hit a red line. This is the safest option, as it essentially is a fuel cut at red line. The less safe option is like what you see below. The fuel pressure drops. You can see the car run lean, but not quite enough to cut back on power. You see what I'm saying? You didn't cut back on power here, so you just went extremely lean. Shout out to Fast and Furious. So I can see the RPMs drop a little bit when it runs at its leanest. So it may be somewhat noticeable in cases like this. If you feel anything weird, just let off. The prime FR for the lean and hot burn is 14 to 16 AFR, which is more likely to cause detonation or pre-detonation. But yeah. And this is where the fuel cut becomes dangerous. In some cuts, it can cut to 13 to 15 AFR, and you won't feel a huge loss in power. That's true. These are the most dangerous cases in why it's important to try to mitigate fuel cuts. Now moving on to some ways to eliminate or mitigate these fuel cuts. The first cost-effective option is an AMS low-pressure fuel pump. We have a great inventory of these and have straightforward instructions. Another option is a Spool FX Performance dual fuel pump. This is a nice drop-in kit that doesn't require modification and overcomes fuel cut by having a secondary pump outside the pump to run at higher boost. Pretty much. So shout out to Racebox for actually dropping that article, because I think it's super important for you guys to actually pay attention to this stuff, because once you guys start making a lot more power, your fuel demand is going to be the craziest. And to be honest, it's always best to go overkill on fuel. From being in this community, from being in the maximum community, it's always best to go overkill on fuel. I would rather run rich, well, not pig rich, but I'd rather be more on the rich side than more on the lean side. At least with the rich side, unless I'm dumping fuel into the combustion chamber, it'll be a lot more safe rather than run lean all the time where things go boom. You see what I'm saying? So outside of that, guys, shout out to Racebox. They'll check them out. You have their Go Racebox website and on IG. I think I still have some information in my bio below. Outside of that, guys, you can add me at boostinmotion IG and Facebook and send me an email at boostinmotion@gmail.com. Otherwise than that, guys, I appreciate it. You guys have a good day. Thank you.